Are you lost too, mister? The small voice cut through the chaos of Gate 47 like a whisper in a storm. Sterling looked down from his departure screen to find a little girl with braided hair and dimples standing beside him, clutching a worn sketchbook to her chest. Her cat-eared beanie sat slightly crooked, and her eyes held that particular brightness children have before the world teaches them to look away. He blinked, caught off guard. Lost. The word echoed strangely in his chest. Yes, he thought, I am lost, just not in the way you mean. I'm looking for Gate 52, he said slowly, his corporate armor cracking just slightly. But I think I took a wrong turn. Me too, she said, relief flooding her face. Those dimples deepened as she smiled. Mommy said wait by the big windows, but all the windows look big to me. Sterling Hartwell, CEO of Hartwell Industries, hadn't spoken to a child in 3 years, not since the accident, not since that Christmas evening when his wife Nadine had stepped off the curb outside Rockefeller Center, laughing at something he'd said, her hand warm in his. Not since his business partner Marcus had been texting while driving, running that red light, stealing everything that mattered in one terrible instant. He'd built walls after that, thick ones, walls made of 18-hour workdays and empty penthouse apartments and flights to nowhere that mattered. "What's your name?" he asked, his voice softer than it had been in years. "Poppy. I'm 4 3/4. She held up her fingers as proof. "What's yours?" "Sterling." "That's a fancy name," she said matter-of-factly, "like a fancy spoon." Despite everything, he smiled, actually smiled. "I suppose it is." Poppy opened her sketchbook, revealing colorful drawings of flowers, cats, houses with oversized chimneys. "I draw when I'm scared. Mommy says it helps the scared go somewhere else. See? This one's from when the thunder was really loud." Sterling saw a purple storm cloud with a small rainbow peeking beneath it. Something tightened in his throat. "Your mother sounds wise." "She is," Poppy said proudly. "She's a lawyer. She helps people who don't have anyone else to help them. She says everyone deserves someone in their corner." The little girl paused, chewing her lip. "Daddy left us last year. Mommy cried, but only when she thought I was sleeping. But we're okay now. We're a team." The honesty of children, brutal and beautiful all at once. Sterling felt something crack inside him, something that had been frozen solid for 3 years. "I lost someone too," he heard himself say. "My wife, 3 Christmases ago." Poppy looked up at him with those impossibly understanding eyes. "Does it still hurt?" "Every day." "Mommy says that means you loved her really big. The bigger the love, the bigger the hurt." She reached out and patted his hand with her small one. "I'm sorry about your wife, Mr. Sterling." He couldn't speak, could only nod. That's when he noticed the woman rushing through the terminal, graceful even in her panic, dark hair escaping from a professional bun, carrying a briefcase and a child's backpack. She was scanning the crowd desperately, and Sterling recognized that particular terror in her eyes, the fear of losing something precious. "Poppy!" The woman's voice cracked with relief as she spotted them. She hurried over, dropping to her knees beside the little girl. "Baby, I told you to stay by the coffee shop. I was only gone 2 minutes to use the restroom." "I got confused, but Mr. Sterling found me. Well, actually, I found him. He's lost too." The woman looked up at Sterling, and she saw exhaustion etched in the fine lines around her eyes, saw the weight of carrying everything alone. "Thank you," she breathed. "Thank you so much for staying with her. I'm Marin Caldwell." "Sterling Hartwell." He helped her to her feet. "She wasn't any trouble. Actually, I think she helped me more than I helped her." Marin studied him for a moment, that lawyer's intuition reading between lines. She saw the expensive suit that hung differently than it should, saw the hollowness beneath the composure. "Are you really lost? Gate-wise, I mean." He found himself telling the truth. Gate 52.
But honestly, I'm not sure why I'm going. It's a business trip to close a deal that doesn't matter. Everything lately feels like I'm just going through the motions." Marin was quiet, then made a decision. "Gate 52 is in the opposite direction. Come on, we're heading that way. Walk with us." As they moved through the airport, Poppy between them, chattering about her drawings, Sterling learned that Marin was flying to Chicago for a crucial custody hearing, representing a mother who'd fled an abusive relationship. "It's a difficult case," she said quietly, "but someone has to stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves." "Do you do this kind of work often?" he asked. "It's all I do. Family law, pro bono mostly. After my ex-husband left, I realized I'd been so focused on climbing the corporate ladder, making partner at some big firm. But when everything fell apart, the only thing that mattered was Poppy, being there for her. So I started my own practice. Small cases, big impact. We don't have much, but we have enough, and we have each other." Sterling felt shame wash over him. He'd spent 3 years drowning in wealth that meant nothing, avoiding life because it hurt too much to feel. They reached his gate too soon. Poppy hugged his leg spontaneously. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Mr. Sterling, even if you don't know what it is yet." He knelt down, eye level with her. "Can I tell you something? I think maybe I just did." That's when Sterling made a decision that would change everything. "Marin, what if you didn't have to worry about that custody case alone? What if you had the best family law advocate in Chicago backing you up? I have connections, resources."
Marin's eyes widened. "I couldn't possibly." "Please," Sterling said, and there was something raw in his voice. "My wife died because my business partner was careless, because I chose the wrong person to trust, because I cared more about profits than character. I've spent 3 years trying to forget that, trying to bury myself in deals and mergers. But your daughter just reminded me that being lost isn't about not knowing which gate to find. It's about forgetting why you're traveling in the first place." He pulled out his phone, making a call. "David, that Chicago deal, cancel it. Instead, I need you to contact Mitchell and Associates. Tell them Sterling Hartwell is personally funding the Caldwell case, whatever it takes." He paused. "And David, start drafting papers to remove Marcus from the board. I should have done it 3 years ago." Marin's hand flew to her mouth. Why would you do this?" "Because your daughter asked me if I was lost too," Sterling said simply. "And she showed me that sometimes the people who help us find our way are the ones we least expect. Because you've built a life around kindness, around showing up for people, and I've built a life around running away." He looked at Poppy, then back at Marin. "I can't bring Nadine back, but I can start honoring what she believed in. She always said our purpose isn't what we achieve, it's who we help along the way." 6 months later, Marin won her case. The mother was granted full custody, and Marin's practice had grown, quietly funded by an anonymous donor who insisted on staying behind the scenes. Sterling had restructured his entire company, shifting focus to social responsibility, funding legal aid clinics, and creating scholarship programs for single parents pursuing law degrees. He and Marin met for coffee monthly, with Poppy always bringing new drawings. They weren't dating. Both had too much healing left to do. But they'd become something more important: friends, a chosen family. Proof that human connection doesn't require romance to be profound. On the anniversary of Nadine's death, Sterling visited her grave with flowers and a child's drawing that Poppy had made, a purple storm cloud with a rainbow underneath. "I'm not lost anymore. I found my way back. Thank you for loving someone who needed to learn this lesson." At the airport, at gate 52, Poppy had asked if he was lost too. The answer had been yes, but not in any way he'd understood.
Sometimes we're lost, not because we don't know where we're going, but because we've forgotten who we are. And sometimes it takes the innocence of a child and the courage of a struggling mother to remind us that kindness isn't a luxury, it's the map that leads us home. The world is full of people standing at the wrong gate, looking at departure screens, wondering where to go next. What if we stopped, knelt down, and asked them the simplest, most important question? Are you lost too? What if we walked each other home? Because in the end, we're all just travelers, and the most beautiful destinations aren't places, they're the connections we make along the way.